Hello and welcome to episode 20 of our Timberborn Update 7 Iron Teeth Project 1K playthrough, cycle 34, day 13, 13 days left of our current bad tide. Last time, we planted a bunch of crops and we built some infrastructure that's going to allow us to kind of efficiently harvest stuff, but I think what's going to be really important for us to do today, outside of other stuff that I've already promised in the comments we're going to take a look at, is, taking a look at the raw food versus the prepared food versus the severe lack of basically anything besides berries and corn rations. I think we're going to have a problem with food probably within the next 5 or 6 days. So I'm going to go ahead and emergency plant some kohlrabies here that can be harvested inside of a couple of days, so we hopefully don't have a food crisis. This farmhouse can reach most of this area thanks to the range effects. Not technically because of the tubeways we've established. I love that sound so much. But just because of the proximity, being enabled by them, it doesn't actually boost it. But I digress. Going to get some of those planted to hopefully stave off a little bit of the potential food crisis that may or may not be inbound. But we have plenty of corn that is about a third grown on this level here. And then you go up a couple more. We've got plenty of soybeans that are almost halfway. You go up again, and then we have a whole lot of canola. This is a lot of canola. We probably didn't need to plant this much canola. But we have cassavas here that have just been planted, and then we have, of course, all of this kohlrabi here that we haven't done anything with yet. But just getting this in place is going to be a smart idea, so we can, avoid catastrophic just absolute misery by way of not having enough food for our beavers here. So the population 112 is pretty big for where we probably should be at this point in time. I probably let it go a little bit too much, but there's no sense, stopping the process now. We just have to make sure that we're making smart choices as we continue expanding and don't let things get too big too quickly. Probably one of the problems I should have addressed earlier is all of these eggplants not being sufficiently supplied, because we've got a lot to deal with right now, and it's not going to go too well for everybody if we don't take care of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead. I know it takes 24 days to get more berries in here, but if you don't plant them, you're not going to have them. So let's go ahead and I know they're not going to be able to do much over here, but we can go ahead and let this get started. Remember that we do still have to, put all of this terrain in place on this side of the map and make sure everything's good to go. And I've got some ideas for that. We've talked about that a little bit. But, after some consideration, reading the comments and all that stuff, I think I'm kind of tempted to agree with some of you that we don't need to have the single high layers, because, one, double high layers allows a whole lot more flexibility, and we can put in platforms and tubeways and stuff that are going to let us plant a little bit more stuff. And two, I don't think we're going to need access to every single layer of dirt the game's going to allow us to use. So, as we continue moving along, I think I'm going to want to raise this up one more level here, and then just have all the rest of these layers be 2. I think that's going to be the smart thing to do. I'm not going to rip it out yet, but just so we're, all on the same page, of course, as we continue moving around this way, there's all sorts of other stuff that needs to get taken care of as well. But what I'm going to go ahead and do now is take out this shower, because we did not put in a tank for water over here, and that was probably a mistake, but that can be pretty easily fixed. Just get that taken care of right there. And then another idea I really, really liked from the comments was for us to use the lanterns as little, grow lights down here. So I thought that was really fun. So I like the idea of having that at least kind of in this general area. The paper lanterns actually will fit, but that's going to look kind of weird underground, technically. So if we use these regular indoor lanterns that just kind of go right on top of the paths, that is going to be, I believe, our best bet. So if we just have those spaced evenly so that they're all covering everything, that should, on the outside at least, start looking pretty good, and the beavers are going to traverse that path, so they're all going to get that benefit. And of course, you know how this goes. I've already managed to mess up the placement of all these things, so that is unfortunate. I have to remember to skip 2 in between, and that should get me where I'm wanting to go just fine. So that's a good start for right now. We can, of course, once everything gets taken care of, filled in correctly, come back and add more. But I figured that would be a nice fun thing to go ahead and put in right now. And then taking another look at my notes over here, lots of discussion about the amounts of stuff. Once again, thank you very much for those comments. This last one was so incredibly huge I cannot fit it in one screenshot. But it is pinned under the last video, so you can go ahead and take a look at that. But apparently, I think all the math is pretty much ready to go, unless we have dissenters in the mathematical department. Then that is not something I'm going to be able to know anyway, about whether the math is right or wrong. But we are going to be slowly incorporating as much of that as we can. And today, of course, continuing the process of trying to keep all these beavers alive, start expanding stuff, and figure out what we're going to be doing on the rest of the map. Which brings us over here. We have all of the Badwater discharge coming out here, powering these water wheels and generating a pretty good amount of power that isn't quite enough to take care of everything else here. But if we go ahead and pause the number cruncher, then it becomes more than enough. We can run all of these food things at 100%, which we should have been doing this whole time anyway. And then, yes, just like we decoupled this water source from everything, I think before we get too much further, it's going to be a smart idea to go ahead and do the same thing here with the Badwater. So what that's going to entail is a whole lot of blasting. And then once everything is taken care of with isolating this as much as we can, then we can take this out. I'm not going to do that right now because obviously we still need the power. And while we could replace it with a whole bunch of engines, I don't think that's going to be the prudent move. So since we have access up here, we have all of these metal blocks. They're going to have to go somewhere else, and we want to have storage for things anyway. So before we rip out the industrial area, it has to have somewhere to go, and quickly, because we really can't run this very long without this being here. So those of you who wanted to see that redone today, sorry it's not going to be this episode, but we're going to make as many preparations as we can so that that can happen sooner rather than later. I think because this quadrant here is a technically less complex quadrant than this would be to do, if we can get this taken care of as best as we can, as quickly as we can, then that's going to give us somewhere to start moving some other stuff. But it has to start with the decoupling this. I'm anticipating this is probably going to be a bulk of today's episode. I'm actually not sure how much more we're going to be able to do, so I'm not going to promise anything yet, as I try to keep these episodes from getting too incredibly long out of respect for all of your time. But enough talking. Let's go ahead and set this thing in motion. We need to move metal blocks, which means since we're going to try to do this quadrant before we do anything else, it needs to go away from this quadrant along with all of this dirt. Now, I'm not including the reservoir in this quadrant, just like I didn't include the reservoir in this quadrant. So probably what's going to be the easiest thing for us to do is going to be to put in some platforms over the top of this part right here, and then just get everything situated as best as we can with that. So putting in a ladder right here at the very edge. Just rotate everything else nicely there. This gives us a 6x6 space, which actually, now that I think about it, before they actually build anything, let's use our brains. I know, tall order for some of us, including myself, but if we go ahead and we put 5x1s here, then I can come and do the same thing over here. But let's base this logically. Let's hit pause so we don't accidentally build anything we don't want to build yet. Let's base it around having industrial piles in place. And depending on how we want to do this, I think I have the idea in my mind that's going to make sense. Might be a little bit of a pain, but we're going to get this taken care of. If I have space around the outside, and I go over here like this, and then I have this come up this way. Again, just bear with me here in this design process while the game is paused. I'm going to have space to go around this side, which means this needs to be, at minimum, the 3x1 all the way through here, We'll take care of that corner in a second. This will allow me to get one here, and then once I fix that corner, one there. The way this has been constructed and conceived in my mind apparently was wrong. So in defense of that, let's go ahead and just modify this so that that's not there and that this gets replaced with the 3x1. Because remember, we can put these ladders basically anywhere. This is just, you know, me trying to maximize the space that I have access to. So this going in here, come on, it's going to connect all of that, which is going to connect all of that. The issue that we're going to run into early on is that this is going to be slower to build if this ladder can't access up here, but I really don't think it's going to be that big of a problem. So coming into this area, we have an opportunity that can be resolved a couple of different ways. I think the easiest, quickest way is just going to be to put in a couple of those guys right there. And then, I guess this top one could be 2 doubles. Just make that nice and simple. Minimal suffering, whatever, just do that. So this is going to give us, per layer, 4 of these. And we can just kind of, you know, endlessly stack them as necessary. So now I've got 3 layers of 4. And that's going to allow me to have kind of a setup like so. Let's do logs, let's do planks, let's do metal, let's do scrap metal on that bottom layer, and then next layer up, kind of the same thing. We do want to have more metal as we have the capability to do so, but I'm not going to have any more layers of scrap metal. Instead, I'm going to do dirt. So that will get us there, that will get us there. And yeah, I'll go ahead and have 3 for metal so we can have that keep going. That gives us 2 things for dirt. I know we're going to need more, but that's where we can just keep adding more here. And then this top layer, all of these are going to be dirt. We really need to make sure we have enough dirt when we start filling things in. So that gives us 6 of these at 180 a pop versus our current storage of 3. Shouldn't have to be obvious. Or shouldn't have to be told to you how much better that is. So we will just go ahead and get this situated like so. Do the same thing over here. Just get all of this ready to go. Prepared for, you know, expanding upwards. But this is a very, very good start. So we'll go ahead and get that situated. Do that here. I don't have to have this paused anymore, so we'll just go ahead and take care of that. It helps me think so much easier when the game is paused. I can't explain why, but that's going to be the new important project for them to take care of so we can start getting rid of everything else. Let's mark these as emptying just to get everything removed. Get that as well. And now the question becomes, how do we get from here to here? Well, conveniently, we have this set of ladders, and these are, well, this one is connected. This one is not connected. I think, yeah, I maybe could have planned this a tiny, tiny bit better, but it's not going to be impossible for us to get this put in correctly here. We're just going to have to think a little bit more. That will connect. Even if it is ugly, it will connect, and that will be fine. We want these to be accessible, remember? So that will go there. This will require that we remove these top couple layers here, but we don't need them anyway. So that solves that problem, gets these guys connected, and gets that connected to the engine. And then we just have to get over here, which can be accomplished if we go ahead and put in a couple more ladders another way. And then on top of those, as long as we have clearance over the engine, I think that shouldn't be... Okay, it's going to need one more higher than that. I was hoping they could match, but you know how it goes. This all the way over to meet up to here, which will also have to be reconfigured slightly, is going to be the smart way to do it. Now we also can think with the power of actual thinking. I know. What's wrong with this guy? I can hear you already. Scientists still aren't sure, but see, look at this absolute just disaster here. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. This is all going to come down anyway at some point. We don't need to be, don't need to really be that worried about it. Alright. This is a crime against humanity, but it's going to work. And also, in this game, all the humans are dead anyway, so nobody cares. Alright, so they're going to take care of that. Like I said, I did want to monitor the food situation, which is starting to kind of deteriorate a little bit. We do have kohlrabies. Wow, there you go. Coming up soon. That should help. Get some more of these eggplants planted. That was the original goal with this area anyway. It might be a little bit dicey for food for a little bit, but I'm pretty convinced it's going to be fine long term. We do have some additional blueberries planted here that are looking good. We also, I know, need to expand our water storage, but I'd like to hold off on building a bunch more of those giant tanks until we have all of the terrain either taken care of or built in such a way where it's not going to be an obstacle to expanding storage. So while they're working on this, I am going to time-lapse this because, again, it is going to take quite some time to get built. So we'll just have this set right here. You can take a look at that. I am going to be building big expanded platform overhangs with tubeways attached to them, so construction goes a whole lot quicker when we actually put in more dirt. But that is probably not going to be on today's menu, just because there's so much other stuff we need to take care of. But yes, rest assured, it's not going to be like the last time we built this. It's not going to be 4 hours worth of stuff crammed into 45 minutes worth of time lapses. The feedback made that clear. But I think that's going to help us out a whole lot. And of course, once we have all the Badwater stuff decoupled, it's going to make it that much easier to build quickly and efficiently, or relatively quickly and efficiently. And I think everything is going to be just fine. But I'm going to let them go ahead and finish building all of the stuff we've already put down. And then by the time they're finished, we'll be able to get started on our decoupling of the Badwater source. Alright, so now they finished building everything we prescribed, and it looks like all of these storages are ready to go. So, away they go. Let's get those completely removed. For right now, I'm going to leave this stack of ladders in place because I think it's going to be useful for us demolishing everything over here. And this builder set also needs to go away. The rest of this probably is okay for now. But for us to properly and safely do our first round of stuff with this, we're going to need to close this. So before we do, let's make sure we're doing okay on everything else. Because we're not going to be able to generate any power with this for a little bit of time while this gets dealt with. We have raw materials are all looking good. Food has recovered a little bit, but I really don't want to pause these. So what's going to need to happen is everything that's not food, while this is being worked on, is going to need to be paused. Let's do that real quick. Pause the explosives factories, both of those. The smelter, I'm going to go ahead and also pause. Food we're going to leave up. Let's hit close on this and check out what the consumption and production is looking like. Because all of this is stopped except whatever's hooked up to an engine. In fact, wait, hold on. Do we not have a single engine? Okay, well, I was operating under the... okay, I was operating under the assumption that we did, in fact, have one. So, here's how that's going to work. That's going to get removed, and then we are going to go ahead and put an engine here just so that this can actually be operating. 400 HP. I need to, at the very least, run both food factories, which is going to be 240, and then I'm going to need to have probably 3 of these fermenters going, which is another 150 past that. So that puts us at 370, plus the oil press, I believe, is another 50. That is close enough. Centrifuge is going to be paused, of course. And I think that's everything. Wood workshop. That's everything that's going to actually be consuming power, to my knowledge. So, I think that's going to put us in the best possible position. We're not going to, you know, run out of food or supplies or whatever in the next day or two it takes to build this engine, so that should be fine. Now that this has been completely removed, let's peel this back, or completely stopped. Peel this back and take a look at what's actually going to be removed. So to decouple this, we have to take all of the terrain out. We don't have to do all of it around the entire thing, but we definitely have to do all of this first. And I think I was smart enough when I built this. Yes. Very good. All of these squares around here do not have any critical infrastructure on them. That is very, very good news. We have access from over here to get in. We have this here that is not currently accessible because I made it inaccessible, so we didn't have any silly billies doing silly billy activities. I think we're going to be fine, but this whole thing right here needs to be separated. I'm going to blast this all the way down to the very, very, very bottom, and then at the bottom put irrigation barriers, and then we can put stuff around it to take care of everything else. Remember, we cannot go underneath the sources. That is why we have to do things the way we are doing them. But this is what we're working with here. Just need to make sure they can get up to the top to take care of everything. And I think the easiest way, like I said, is going to be to just have them come up here, and then we can deal with whatever else later. Because this is going to very quickly become inaccessible to this side because, well, they're going to have to be able to, you know, walk around somewhere else. So that's what we are working with. This gets prioritized, and now looks like the demand is 440, so my math was a little tiny bit off, but still that's going to be perfectly fine for what we're working with. Just need these guys to do what they are going to be doing, and we'll be okay. So we take that out, that out, that out. I'm going to take this down by 2, just so everything lands on the same level. Should have no issues doing that. I'm going to preemptively just put this platform here so they can still access around to this side. Everything else looking good. All right, B for boom. All right, that's one layer down. You know the drill. We're just going to keep on blasting down here, and then we're going to have to do what comes next. So I will be time-lapsing this just a tiny bit so we don't have to sit here and waste a couple more minutes. But it should be pretty self-explanatory what comes next, and we will talk about that in just a bit. Okay, so that's blasted out, and we have the irrigation barriers in place. Let's hit pause real quick, because I think I may have uncovered a bit of a problem. So while this is completely separated, bad water discharge here, we do still have to put stuff around this so the water doesn't go anywhere else. But I was kind of banking on having something in place where this was not going to allow infection of anything else. So if we zoom in enough... Oh, no way. I'm so lucky. This is perfect. I thought this had gone all the way down. So I was panicking for nothing. It's going to be great, because now what we can do is we can have platforms all the way around, and then on top of these platforms we can have regular levees which do not transmit pollution. And the reason this is such a good thing here is because the water that comes out of here has to go through here, then it falls down to this level, goes through here, then it falls down right here through this block, and then it goes all the way down to here, which has it go through... Okay, I couldn't click on the wheels. It has it go down through that way. So we're going to have bad water on this other side here, which is a problem we're going to correct later in terms of, you know, corrupting everything else. But this is going to allow us to put these platforms in place still and have, at least on the front side, levees in place all the way up, which we will go ahead and do just on this front side so everything can remain clean and whatever. This is going to be fine to go away like that. The rest of this, I'm going to, for the sake of what we are working with, just make this into regular platforms, which can go all the way around until we get to the very top. Okay, well, these did not need to be here. Get that out of there. Have this come all the way up to the top until it reaches here, because at this point, if I have done my calculations correctly, then all I have to do is just pop this in, of course, take that out, and I'll do this too, just so it's perfectly fine. But this, if this is correct, should not have the ability to infect anything else. And we can safely leave this alone while we demolish everything else. So that is going to be, yes, friends, yet another time lapse. As we are on the heels of this bad tide, we're going to have nice fresh water coming through here, which will turn some of the wheels, over in the industrial area, but like I said, just trying to save us a little bit of time, get the stuff built in a manner that is not going to be annoying to watch. And I'll catch you on the other side. We're going to talk about how we're going to take the rest of this mountain down. Okay, so all of these are in place. Let's just do a quick scroll through to see what this looks like underneath. Everything is in place, should be perfectly fine. So let's go ahead and open this back up. Hopefully nothing terrible happens. Although I think we are in a really good spot, folks. We should only see pollution in this general area here as a result of this. It is going to extend around this way a little bit just because the ground down here is going to have the poison going through it. But you will note that there is none of it here. I think this has been pretty successful. Let's just let that keep on doing what it's supposed to be doing. Yeah, it's looking good. Looking really good. All right. So, where do we go from here? Well, this has been separated. We haven't gotten rid of all of the terrain here, and we also have not adequately prepared this whole thing for eventual stacking. Part of that is going to be a little bit of a challenge. Let's put this in single speed again. You take a look at this whole site here. We have not done any tunneling like we've done over here. And remember that I did want to have the entire map, the bottom layer being this 3 tall business. So getting access over here for this is probably not going to be too difficult considering the reservoir only goes down to... Okay, well here it goes down all the way. That's going to be something we have to fix. But to match up with this, we actually don't have any problems in this corner of the map with the exception of where the reservoir is. And the way that this is currently set up, it's going to be a little bit of a pain to tunnel in. Not impossible, but definitely a little bit involved. So what I'm going to probably need to do now is go through here and set up all of our individual tunnel bits, but we need to identify where the support columns are going to go. Remember, we're starting from the corner. Let's just hit pause so I don't lose my mind. This is one of the corners here. Going this side to this side, we're skipping 5 blocks. Going this side to this side, we're skipping 7. So if we put 5 in between, like it says there, we'll put 5 in between, 5 in between, and 5 in between should get us right to the middle. This is tile number 26, which means this is 25, this is 24, and that is correct there. I will put this here just so we remember that that's how this is supposed to be set up. But now we've got to get the rest of this taken care of. Remember, we're going 7 in between. This is 7 here. There's our 7. And there's our 7. That gets us to exactly the middle, which is where we want it to be. And I know we still have the reservoir here. This is going to be something we have to mess with independently. But I did want to have this fully connected, even if it's going to be a little bit of a pain to get around. We want to make sure this is all ready to go. And now everything else in the middle, you already know how this goes. We have 2 complete... okay, I'm not going to mess with that one, but we have 2 complete... forgetting what this is called. Rows, columns, whatever. And then here, we have this one in the middle, just like that. That gets removed. Again, I'm not messing with the reservoir quite yet, but this is going to get this column in place. This right here is going to be a column, but I'm really not going to mess with the rest of this. We just need to remember that that's where that is. We do have, I guess, technically an advantage in some ways and a disadvantage in other ways of this column being right here, being taken up by where the mine is. So that's going to cause us a little bit of problem here. Now, those of you who want me to just press X to solve my problems, doesn't work in this mode, sorry. But what we can do is just do the same exact thing we've been doing before. Get this laid out nicely so we know we have this bit and we know we have this bit safely set up, ready to go. And then while this one is here, we can't do anything with. This one here, we can. So this is going to be one of the other pillars that I'm not going to do anything with, just because. But we do know that that is there. And that can go all the way out to here. That's going to be fine. We'll just leave this in place until we completely redo the reservoir because it's not going to be here. This is all going to be plantable space. And then everything else should be, you know, pretty smooth sailing. Just need to make sure, again, that this is set up correctly. And look at this. Perfect. That lines up so nicely. Once again, 6 there. I'm not going to get rid of that one because that's going to cause all sorts of other problems, but get our double thing in there. This goes in here, just like so, and then that can have the 7, and that's going to be just fine right there. So this is, so far, looking pretty good. Remember, we have to go out to this way. This is, once again, going to be taken up by one of these pieces of land here, which, you know, is what it is, but not the end of the world. Pretty simple process to get that taken care of. We just pop all of this in here, get our 2... I'm not going to excavate this out yet because that's going to... it is just going to cause too many problems. But the rest of this should be pretty good to go. Just leave this here, not excavate that one out. And, you know, we could go a little bit more here, but this is where one of those pillars is, so I'm not going to mess with that. This one here is going to get us right to this area where we don't want to mess with anything else. So remember that this has to have the double layer there, so that's actually going to be good. Get that done here. That's fine. And then that's just going to remind us that that's where that pillar goes. This pillar goes here. Same difference, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then there's that. All right, so now that we've established this, this is the layer we're going to be blasting out with tunnels, and then we can take that down 2 more blocks. We have to be able to get inside from an area that is not wet. So that is, oh, look at this. Look how perfect this is. I don't have to have these marked as tunnels. So, to solve that problem, let's go ahead and, I suppose, unplant, 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 and then the rest of this. Okay, I am going to leave this in place here because that's water storage, but the rest of this on this level can be removed. We just have to remember that this tile, 1524, is where that corner starts for demolition. And we can actually have this go straight to the triples. Very, very easily. Take care of that. Triple here, take care of that. The rest of this, I guess I'm just going to have to... wait, no I don't. I don't need to do that. Why is it not letting me take care of that? Oh, it's because there's something attached to it. All right. Well, I promise this is all going to be worth it in due time. Going to get rid of those, going to get rid of those, and with this being blasted, this is going to give us an opportunity to put a ladder down here at some point and take care of the rest. So, now that this is a thing, we do have this staircase here that is kind of the whole connecting pin to the rest of the world, so we're going to need to be very careful how we do the rest of this connection here. We do not want them walking through the poison, but we do need to have another way to get around for the time being, which I think just makes sense to have this connect down here. We just need to make sure there is no reason at all whatsoever for them to come down here. And then we can just have them attach themselves to some other path somewhere else, which currently probably the only thing that's going to be viable is to come over here, then exit that to come down onto here, which will then have a ladder placed there. So let's just real quick, before I unpause, yeah, there's nothing down there they could possibly want, no reason whatsoever. If they go down there, that is their own problem, and I will not be dealing with it. So let's just get this popped in first, so they can get the proper connections, and then we're going to have a whole lot of blasting we're going to have to take care of. They seem to be enthusiastically getting in here, maybe a little bit sooner than I would have preferred, but it is what it is. It's all going to matter. I just didn't think they were going to get into that so quick. All sorts of fun stuff. All sorts of fun stuff, folks. So, get those triples in place there. The rest of these, remember this is a column that has to stay there. I'm pretty sure that's a column. Or it's something I wasn't going to mess with. Okay, that's a column. Yeah, just let them get the rest of that in place. Then I will blast that out. And then, like I said, we have to have a ladder down there, and then the rest can get done, which will, of course, be time-lapsed. Ye of little faith. But, okay, we got a couple homeless beavers. I was hoping that wasn't going to be a thing, but I'm not that worried about it. This came up a couple times. All the unemployed beavers. I'm really not that worried about it. Like, I guess we could have faster building if you really want, but the amount of time I spend, like, taking these things out after I put them in is just like, alright, why did I even bother with this, you know? So, I will humor you, though. I will put 3 of these in. Just go ahead and get them built so they have somewhere to be hired onto. But it honestly really isn't that big of a deal. So, let's hit B for boom. Hopefully nobody gets exploded. Please use caution when opening overhead bins, etc. I guess, without disrupting much of anything else, I will just go ahead and put in a ladder there, which will allow them access to most of this area. I'm not going to blow this up quite yet, but we will when we get to that point. And now, friends, it's time for all of the blasting to commence. Yes, again, this will be time-lapsed, and we're going to have them complete as much of this area as they can. I may need to, because of accessibility concerns, I may need to take one of the columns out from a land point of view and still have it supported with a piece of platform, just so they can get into the back side of it, but it will be put back in place, because you know how this always goes. But I will see you on the other side of our fun, explosive time-lapse, however long it is that's going to take. Okay, so I'm stopping the time-lapse here because we had a couple of problems. Accidentally blasted a hole in the bottom of the reservoir, but that's fixed. No worries there. And we've kind of run into a spot because of the fixes for that where I'm not going to be able to get to the rest of this without doing some other stuff to the reservoir, making it just a tiny bit smaller so that we can actually have a shot of getting this whole area taken care of. But this is all blasted out as much as I can. These pylons have not been removed because that's going to make it impossible to keep the rest of the stuff here. I'm just going to not worry about it. But the rest of this is all able to be blasted out. I don't think we're going to have too much time to do that much else today with this, but I did figure it's probably fine to go ahead and just get that taken care of. Make sure everything else is set up as best as it can be. This is going to get blasted at some point. If they're actually able to use this thoroughfare, I think they are. Doesn't seem like there's that big of a problem. Obviously, this is not an ideal pathing, but this is going to allow them to actually, you know, do stuff. So I guess that's probably a little bit more important. But yeah, the rest of this, go ahead and pop in our double dynamites as necessary to take advantage of all of this extra space here. Same with this, same with this. And then, of course, we do want to get rid of all of this here with the paths. But they do need to put the dynamite in place. We've got a little bit here in the corner that is, or should be, rather, more or less idiot-proofed, I believe. This right here, this was the column I did have to break so that we could bring in all of the rest of the dynamite to blow everything else up. This will be replaced, probably when the rest of this is taken care of. But that's going to take them a little bit of time to take care of. We are now kind of facing a little bit of an issue with our reservoir. We have to decide what all we are going to be doing to kind of slowly start reclaiming some of this for planting purposes and continuity around the bottom of the map, and what we're not going to do. So, like I said, I wanted this entire quadrant to be in a decent spot. We've already marked out, you can see right here, this is where this ends. And we come up in here. It's actually very conveniently these two blocks right here. So that's perfect. That's going to help us a lot in kind of sighting things. So we take this path out, and then all that's left, keeping us from blasting the rest of this out, minus, you know, this, and then the walls here and here, is just our dirt excavators. Those are going to need to move for us to be able to do the rest of what we want to be doing. And we have a drought coming up, so I am kind of apprehensive about modifying the reservoir at this point, but that doesn't mean we can't still think about it. Remember, we come down to this level we've been working on. All of this space here, believe it or not, can just stay as it is as long as we put a top on it. So we just have to decide what we want that top to be. Like what height we want that to be at. This is already down to the very bottom of the map, so this is perfect. We don't want to fill it back in, but we do have to make sure that the water that we're using for this is not going to go off somewhere else. I think it is probably smartest to go ahead and cut off right about where the height of this layer would stop, which is layer 6. So if we were to come in here and just make all of this just one of these with the terrain blocks here, I think it's not going to be too terribly difficult to achieve, because remember, we do have decent access from above that we could also just, you know, come on down in here and take care of. But we are going to need to just remember where all of our pylons are supposed to be and deal with that accordingly. And that's going to be easiest to do from this level. So remember, this platform here is supposed to be a pylon. We're leaving that in place. This spot right here, 0843, is also going to need to be another pylon. So 0843 and 1643 are unfortunately smack dab in the middle of both of our dirt excavators. So those are going to have to go before we can do pretty much anything else, unfortunately. But we do have 1,300 dirt stored, which is going to be enough for now for us to do a little bit of the work here. We are going to have to build another one at some point to get the rest, but before we get rid of these, since we have all of this right here, let's go ahead and add one more level and have it just be dirt so they can continue getting some of that out while we work on everything else. I think it just makes sense to go ahead and do this. We have the space. We have basically infinite height we can work from for now. And this is going to give us another, what, 700-ish? About 2,000, a little shy of that, should get us pretty far. Remember, each one of these blocks is only 6. So that's going to get us most of another layer that we'd have to put in. If we're feeling nasty, which, you know, we might as well just go ahead and put yet another layer. Just for dirt, because it is going to take us a little bit of time to get the rest of the stuff exploded in a way that's going to make sense. There we go. Yeah, if we can cap this off in such a way that it's not going to completely flood everything when we release it, then that's going to be good. But I think that's probably going to be toward the end of the drought whenever this water is all the way down anyway, because this is the level I'm trying to build at least is higher than the release, so that should help. But remember that this goes all the way down, and it's going to be holding water that, you know, we're not going to be able to really do too much with. So again, take a look here. This is the middle. This, unfortunately, the sluices falls on this side of the 4x4 split, so it's going to be a little kind of weird to mess with. So we're going to unfortunately need to kind of just have this thing separated in a way that's going to allow everything else to flow. And it's just going to be kind of weird, but I think we are going to be okay. This just has to come up to the same level as everything else. Yes, I'm leaving it dirt so that it can have a chance at actually communicating all the, what's it called, irrigation, so on and so forth. Remember, our height we're looking for here is 7. This will put us at 4, so it's got a little bit of ways to go here. One more from here. So that should be 7, looks like it is. And that is where we're going to be cutting off the rest of our reservoir here. Everything underneath it is going to get tunneled out eventually. I'm not going to split hairs about it right now because, again, that is one of those things that is going to just take time. Now, to build this, we're not really in a fantastic position to make use of bridges or overhangs or anything just because it's kind of annoying to get in here. So I think the easiest way, maybe not necessarily the best way, but the easiest way right now is going to be to just put in ladders around the backside here, get them connected to the rest of our paths. Yes, I know it's very far away. It is what it is. It's just got to be this way unless I want to spend my entire life messing with this, which I don't think benefits anyone here. So this ladder right here will help speed that process up kind of considerably. We'll get this whole thing prioritized as well. And then from that point, we will have to make some choices about how we're going to deal with everything else. And I unfortunately cannot attach dirt to the levees here. So we may run into some issues, but again, once we have all of this completely taken care of, depending on how long this drought's going to be, and I think this is probably the last project we can fit in this episode, depending on how long it takes to get stuff done. We might have to cut it off in the middle. I'm trying not to make these super long. But we might be able to have this reservoir basically completely empty, and then just build it dry. Take this whole wall out, replace it with whatever, just bring this all the way up. We will see what happens. I'm not completely married to the idea, but we will just have to find out. Let's make sure before we get too excited here that that's all set up. We will, again, need to put in time lapses as appropriate. Trust that you were on board with that process. I'll try to move the camera as little as I can. But again, that is one of those things that's just going to be necessary. But taking a look at down here, everything is looking pretty good. We've got some dynamite that has not yet been put in because, well, it's just one of those things that takes some time. Bet you can't have heard that before. But yes, this right here, already in place. This one here will need to remain in place. That is 1246. If we come up here, we can start putting in provisions for that to be a thing. 1246 all the way up, just so we have access to that. And then we'll have to do down here as well. That is 1246. All right, so that is one of those pylons in place that we can actually stick in. And then we come down here. Same kind of deal in this spot. That is 2046. So that already has a spot there, but this will need to go up piece by piece. And it already has very, very good. That's right there at the corner. All right, so that is more or less what we're going to be able to do. I'm going to have this cut out, make this easier to see. That doesn't help. This cut off 2 blocks above this because that's what they're going to actually be able to reach. And folks, right now that is basically the best that we can do. So I hate to say it, but yeah, this time lapse is going to require some camera movement, and it is just going to be a thing. So I'll put a time code if you want to skip this or if you whatever. But I got to keep it in here. That's the brand that we do, and I want to make sure we remain authentic to what we are trying to accomplish here. But all that being said, hopefully it doesn't take them too long to do this. We will see what happens, and I will catch up with you on the other side. All right, so they've finished just about everything we can currently do without taking the dirt excavators away. And we have 1,800, you know, 2/3-ish of our storage capacity for dirt. But I think that's going to be enough for what we have to do next. Again, we're trying to cap this off so that this can be entirely decoupled, so then we can actually blast out everything here completely, get all of our columns back in order, all that jazz. So, farewell, dirt excavators. It's been nice knowing you, but it is now time for us to go and do literally anything else, starting with figuring out where these columns have to go once again. Now, remember, we have 5 spaces in between here, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this becomes where that goes, and then we can now we can actually use the X button to do this. I know some of you are very, very happy to hear that. But now what we have to do is bring these up and get everything connected. I'm not sure if everything's going to reach nicely the way I have this set up currently. I think this will just barely get me out to here to this corner where that's going to be possible. But here we may need to have a little bit of a what's the term here? I forgot, so good job me, I suppose. They should be able to walk on this to be able to do most of this. This one in the middle, probably not. But if we are smart about how we go about doing this, then I think we can make this work. I have to have some sort of spot to attach a bridge, and right now that doesn't seem like something that's going to be very easy to do, except right here, possibly. If this ladder was not rotated that way, we could do it. Okay, that was a less than ideal thing for me to stick in there. Let's see. This is not going to be able to reach any of that. That's unfortunate. This isn't going to play nice either because, oh, I had that facing that because of course I did. Okay. Well, okay, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to have to come in from this side right here to be able to do that, and I'm going to come in from this side to be able to do the rest of this. We'll have to connect that to the pathing. Again, not a tremendous deal. It's just going to take a little bit of time, so they're going to take care of that. Unfortunately for us, I guess good for the beavers, but bad for us, we managed to draw one of the shortest possible drought lengths of 9 days. So that's about to come to an end, and this is, of course, just going to be completely full of water and going to cause all sorts of other issues. But it is what it is. No sense getting upset about it. It's just the way she goes. Just have to make sure we can get all of this popped in place appropriately. I think with how this is set up, we should be okay. But I did kind of forget that we have all of this in here. This is all going to have to come out. But again, it is, in fact, a process that does, in fact, take time. So all of this, hopefully, can get squared away before it's too late. We do have a little bit of a problem with this right here being set up as platforms, and that's going to drain a whole lot of water out if we don't have anything done with that, and I don't know what to do outside of just stacking up levees, so this is completely covered. I should have done this differently, but I didn't know what I now know when I thought I knew everything, so you know how it goes. We just get as many of these other pieces in here as we can. Once this gets put in place, you know the drill. It just becomes a whole lot easier to do all of this. And I do try to make it as nausea-free as possible, but yeah, sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you just have to do it the hard way. So they really can't. Okay, this is going to have to be here, and then this thing's going to have to go out. Construction behind will be finished. Okay. So where does that leave us now today? Well, we've decoupled this. We did that a long time ago, but I'm pretty happy that's taken care of. Obviously, we still have to blast this down. But while we're waiting, we have all of this that has not been exploded. And I think we are in a good enough position to go ahead and do just that. So let's come in here. I'm going to leave this back corner alone for now, but let's focus on getting all of this taken out. Just keep an eye on all of our plank stuff. If it starts being not planks, then we know we have a problem. For now, that should be okay. Remember, these are doubles, so this should be enough to get everything exploded. I'm going to make these a priority because I do want this to be done sooner rather than later, so we can actually get that finished today. Alright, so this is waiting on that to be done. That's waiting on that to be done. This is actually fully sealed that way. That's good. We left a little bit for the water to go out. Now I can take this away, which means I can come in here with the rest of this and completely seal that off. This here, same kind of story. Go ahead and just bring this in that way. And then on top of that, unfortunately, the only thing we can really do about this is just put levees here, but they can build this from inside, so that should not be an issue. Just going to be a little bit annoying to take care of. But that will completely seal the rest of this in. All of this water will be released. Yes, it will be an enormous tidal wave. It will kind of be funny, but that is the way it goes. There's a little bit of splash here. Don't worry, that hasn't really affected anything. So now we have the opportunity to start excavating here like we'd done before. Remember, we have to preserve this as a pillar. Everything else gets to go away, including here, and then all of that. It will be perfect. It'll be absolutely beautiful. We just have to get all of this popped in exactly the right way, and that is going to be part of it here. So that will be there, that will be there, that'll be there, that'll be there. This will all be gone. Yes, let's go ahead and just turn that on. As soon as this opens up, all of the water that is in this bit up to where they have built all of this mess here is going to go away, which it looks like level 9. So there's, you know, another 6 levels of water that are all going to start rushing out of this hole as they take their time getting this done. But I think it's going to be okay. Just going to see a whole lot of water coming out. It is what it is. It's the wet season. We have tons of water stored up. It's fine. Here that comes. This will be draining in incredibly quick fashion unless they manage to build more of this here. But again, all in service of getting all of this other stuff taken care of, which is something we've been trying to do for quite some time. So, no reason to feel bad about it. Just got to get it taken care of. Blast the rest of this out, and then Bob's your uncle, etc., so on and so forth. I think I should... okay, nope. Nope, we're definitely missing some stuff here. I know that's where the reservoir stuff is. So I just have to be cognizant of what I can and cannot remove as we continue working on this. See, this, all of this is totally fine. That is all completely good, except right here, I obviously can't get rid of that, but I can get rid of that. And then this entire backside, once again, is good because of what is being supported. That's good. That's good. That's good. This piece, absolutely not. This is one of the most important pieces in the entire map currently. So that can't be removed. Everything else, though, is looking pretty spiffy. This piece, of course, also cannot be removed. We already talked about that. So to get around the back here, we do have to have this connected like it kind of already was. But you see what we're getting at. This is now completely removed from everything else. We shouldn't have any more water flooding everything. Let's just peel this back again. Yeah, it's just the pits now that are, you know, filled with water, which that was always allowed. That's fine. Once again, splashing as the reservoir reaches its full capacity again. We just have to be able to blast the rest of this away and take care of what we have to take care of. So, just as a reminder, this is where this is going to have to be left. That can be removed, because that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This will be number 7. And then, aside from that, this is the next pillar. This is the next pillar, so all of this can be removed, and everything can be taken out to a certain extent, and then that is going to be all we can do there. Just get rid of that. Get rid of... that's going to take away land I don't want to take away yet. I think we... No, we didn't have that problem over here. Did I make a mistake? It's definitely possible. But I think for right now, it looks like that is just a function of the land not being connected on this intermediary level. So we'll just keep on scooping this out. That's looking good. Some of these are going to be... Okay, there it goes. There it goes. Except that one piece of land... Why is that one piece of land going away? That shouldn't... This shouldn't be load-bearing. It really should not be, so I'm not sure what the deal is with that. This is all looking good. Just bring this in here as we can. Try to get the rest of this... I know the paths are going to be an absolute mess. It just is what it is. But it's going to be great once this entire layer is taken care of. And I know this... At this point, this episode is probably almost an hour, maybe a little bit more. Doing my best to try and get a singular goal accomplished in a single episode, even if there is a little bit of scope creep that is kind of causing issues here. But this will get us as much of this corner done to some extent as possible without really messing with too much else. Food is taken care of. Water is still looking really, really, really good. I just need to know why this one wants to demolish everything else. I guess it's because this isn't connected. I know, I've said that like 5 times now, but I'm just going to deal with it. I'm going to put in that there. That should help everything be connected. Just, there's a lot of moving parts, folks. Not everything is going to be able to get popped in all the time. We are still going to have to build our... Okay, that's also wrong, but whatever. We still have to build our whole scaffolding thing with all of the tubeways, but I figured that would be a good thing to do next episode so we can kind of properly divide things up. I just want to see stuff go boom. So, if that is possible, then I will just go ahead and allow that to be a thing. Just put in some platform here so that can get built at the very least, because I know that's going to allow this to be what it needs to be. This is already in place there. That's fine. Just keep an eye on all of this. Oh, beautiful. Nothing but planks. We're looking okay. Looking really good. Ah, can't have that. Can't have that. But that is going to work. That is what's holding all of that up. Yep, can't do that. So we've established what does work, what doesn't work. That just needs somebody to come finish it. And then I think, if we've done this correctly, this one piece will hold this up, which means I can get rid of that once that is taken care of. And then we can finally, mercifully, into this episode and get back to what we've been trying to do. I know we reduced the capacity of the reservoir substantially. But, oh, look at all that canola. You know, things are looking pretty good. Pretty good. Not perfect, but pretty good. Go ahead and just put the rest of these eggplants in. I did say we're going to do something with all of these. Never hurts to have extra on hand. We go through this like you would not believe. Alright, so this one piece here just needs somebody to come finish. And it looks like, if I remove this now, let's just check with the Demolish Building tool. Okay, that's going to get removed, but not the one above it. Really? Okay, well, I didn't think that was going to be a problem. Maybe it's just because the rest of this hasn't been expanded out this way. I guess I am duty-bound to continuously repair all of this nonsense. Try to fix what I'm trying to fix. All right. So while they're working on that, I guess I really don't have any other excuse but to just start wrapping stuff up. You know, nobody likes a yapper, says the guy who is a professional yapper. I don't know. Zoomer slang, etc. So this piece cannot be removed, so it's never going to get blown up. But the rest of these can get put in. That should just about do it. So I'm going to let them take care of this. Let's do a final once-over here. Actually, you know what? We can just do our end-of-episode stuff now without time-lapsing while they put all that stuff in, and then we can just blast it after we're done. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys watching these videos. This is such a fun series, and it's even more fun now that we've got kind of a good rhythm going on getting major projects done, trying to condense what needs to be condensed, and trying to show what needs to be shown. So as always, I do appreciate feedback on that, different ideas, so on and so forth. But at the root of it all, I do genuinely appreciate each and every one of you, Beard Boosters especially, subsidizing all of this content, making it possible not to have sponsors and just focus on having fun with the games, which is the most important thing, and just enjoying some time with each other in a world that increasingly seems to be at odds with itself. We know we can just have a fun time with the beavers and enjoy each other's company. That's important to me. I hope it's important to you, because that's probably the single biggest driving force behind why I do what I do, and I try not to focus on controversy or whatever. Just having a good time with the beavers. So, all that being said, let's come back over here and check and see if they've gotten all of this dynamite in place. It looks like there's just a tiny bit left. And once that is done, we should be able to set this off and everything is going to be all hunky-dory. Let's just check and see if I can... I still can't get... Why is that? Why is that, of all things, the one that is not supported by anything? Like, how did that even happen? I genuinely do not understand how that is a thing, but who knows? Maybe... But see, that wasn't an issue here. I don't know. I probably did something wrong. It's happened before. It will happen again. I can absolutely promise you that. But we'll just let them get these last couple pieces in place. Take a look at these piles. Don't need to save planks. 70 planks. Yeah, we have 1,200. I'm not going to worry about that. I'll just get rid of these. Gears are fine too. We have 200 of those. Just trying to make as little mess as possible. It looks like we're going to have to leave these in place for at least some period of time while I figure out what the heck is going on with that. But now, friends, it is time. Press B for boom. Hopefully nobody explodes. Okay, that was a little anticlimactic. I thought it was going to do everything. B for additional boom. All right, there you have it. We got the whole bottom corner over here all taken care of, minus this bit. But yeah, there. Oh, I forgot. I forgot to put this one back in. Oops. Well, that is, that's going to have to get fixed. But I digress. Another successful episode. Again, I hope you enjoyed. I enjoyed having you here. Whatever it is you're doing with the rest of your day, stay safe, have fun, and we will see you again soon for more beavers and all sorts of other stuff that's not beavers. To be announced later. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.